have a ton of time to prepare for spring because you got here there. What's it like coming in now, day one, day two, comparing, you're seeing these guys live as compared to what you saw when you left them in the spring?
Right. Having a little more than 10 days is very beneficial, right? You know what? The players have done a tremendous job from springtime to now to continue to improve, getting themselves comfortable with the operation of the defense, the communication, the alignments, the assignments. Day number one was it was very clear. We were way more comfortable getting aligned. We're much more efficient between the snaps. We got to continue to build on that. We're not at where we need to be at this point, but it was a huge improvement. And now we just got to keep cleaning up our fundamentals and our techniques.
From Bryson Young at the end of spring that kind of elevated him to the top of the stud position?
You know what? He grew and received from the team, you know, one of the most improved players through the course of the spring. It was constant progression, not only in the run game, but the pass game and being able to do different things, you know, on that boundary side edge. So he is a very consistent player, and you could probably attribute that to the way he prepares, you know, and is spending the extra time up in the classroom.
Is he kind of the perfect fit for that kind of spot, though, at 6'5", 250?
Yeah, that's the type of body, the length we're looking for, the size, and the mobility. And that's the other part I guess I should mention, too. His mobility, his ability to open and close his hips and change the direction drastically improved in the springtime.
Was Verone nicked up today? Didn't see him out there much.
Yeah, he ran around a little bit, but, you know, we're not going to discuss injuries and whatnot.
I spoke to Coach Martin not too long ago from Mesa, and I know you guys coached together in Nebraska Kearney. What influence, or what do you remember about that time, and what influence did he or that time at Kearney have on your career?
You know what, Russ, Coach Martin's a hell of a coach, obviously, and what he's done. And, you know, it's kind of funny because a lot of things that are popping up, becoming mainstream in college football now, Coach Martin was doing back in the day at Nebraska Kearney. So he's a very smart, innovative coach.
What can Troy do having him back here, and even though it's his first year in their defense, seems like a guy who probably picks it up as quick as anyone.
Yes.
In the summer, then working with guys as they come in, what's kind of Troy done these last few months to maybe help you get these guys to learn what you want him to do?
No question. Not only has Troy elevated himself with his process and how he's preparing and growing with football within the defense, but bringing guys along with him. And we got to continue to do that. Troy's a fast learner. He gets football. This makes sense to him, right? And so the more guys he could bring along, the better he gets at leading on the field and communicating. That just takes snaps and getting comfortable with the new defense, right? And he's done a tremendous job from where we're at in the spring to where we're at now.
Troy with Thibodeau and DJ switching spots from spring ball.
They didn't necessarily switch spots. We're using guys at different spots, and that's what fall camp's for too, is to, you know, making sure that we can create depth. Through camp, you're going to see players play in different positions. This is a long season. We got a lot of guys on the roster, and what we got to do is create dependable depth. Dependable depth is guys that can execute their fundamentals and techniques, you know, play after play.
Troy said it was easier to kind of build a relationship with you from scratch because you guys are both IE guys from Corona. What was that relationship like, being able to build it because of those things off the field?
You know what? Just being familiar with who he is, watching him play high school football, it's ironic. Him and the high school he went to, Norco, is the high school that my wife went to. So I went to the rival high school in Corona, and so naturally there was a little bit of trash talking that's always been going on through that. But you know what? Just having respect for him and his family, his brothers, you know, obviously one that's on this team, one that's played college football elsewhere, and just really respecting the family and admiring from far, and now getting to work with those guys it's awesome, especially you know, having the close relationship with Troy.
You know you're going to have KT and Gus both contributing.
Yes.
What will be the determining factor for you as to who does start? Because when KT is stuck at the day so many times in the spring and he's running faster than anybody on the defensive ends and studs, just what is he going to have to do to show you that at some point here in fall camp, that he's capable of starting immediately?
KT has done a tremendous job of preparing himself and learning the defense. Obviously, just being both those guys being new into it, they both, whoever is most consistent at that position or at any other position, is going to start. So the consistency, like we just talked about, the execution of their fundamentals and techniques.
Coach, Austin and Jordan talked yesterday about being excited of probably having more opportunities to get in the backfield in your scheme. How do you think they fit in?
They're both fast twitch. They are. They're really fast twitch, and we want to take advantage of that, you know, and putting those guys in position as well as anybody else. All these other guys you're asking about, right? There's a lot of things that are going to happen that we're going to try to do different things to attack certain personnels, certain types of offenses, and use the personnel we have to put them in the best situations like we're talking about.
So as far as the age difference, personality between Coach Levitt and you, I mean, a lot of the guys yesterday, especially on your linebacker core, talked about the fact that you guys are a little bit closer in age, the players to you. How do you think that helped build rapport with guys as a new coach, especially considering their last linebacker coach, Cord Dennison, was also a young guy?
Yeah, no question. You know what? At the end of the day, regardless, football is a game. It is a game that we're all working together at, and it takes building trust, right? You got to get to know people to trust people. And for me, that's one of the biggest reasons why we do what we do. And regardless of my age, as I continue to get older, I know I got this baby face, but wow, I feel like I'm getting old. I'm coming up on 40 quick, So I don't, for me, it's always just about connecting and finding out who people are. And everybody learns different too, right? If you're going to reach someone and be able to teach them the things they need to learn, you got to be able to connect with them, and you got to know who they are to do that.
Jamal had a pick today, and
Yeah,
when,
sweet, huh?
when you're looking for that whole second line, other than Mike Hale, but that whole second line in the secondary seems pretty wide open.
Yeah.
How open is it for him or Triquez or
There's
those
no
guys
question.
to get through?
And that's why we're in practice number 2 today. And before you know it, we'll be blinking and looking up, and here we are like in 13, 14 and moving on. So between now and then, the more guys can be consistent and making plays and lining up and executing, doing the right thing, we want to create a role for as many people as we can, And if that's not determined, like we were talking earlier, whether a guy's a senior or a guy's a freshman. If you're a freshman and you handle the process and you're ready to go, we'll find a role for you.
Mace was listed as an inside linebacker as a recruit, but I know he put on some weight because of the injury his senior year and whatnot. When was the determination made that he was going to be an outside guy, and how kind of exciting is that? This is a really heralded recruit, so
No
that you
question.
get to work with him in that capacity.
So here, Mace played a very similar position at Mater Dei to the outside linebacker position here. It's a natural fit for him. Being important and putting guys in place that fit them, we felt like Mace would be able to jump in and contribute to this defense, to this team a lot quicker in a position he was more familiar with. He picks up football pretty fast. He's pretty talented. He allows us to be multiple. In the future, not to say he wouldn't be able to move around and do different things,
A lot of people talk about this, just sheer size of the freshman defensive lineman.
Yeah.
What have you seen from that group just that makes you excited of their potential?
Very excited because they are impressive. They're impressive when they walk up on you, and they're impressive when you see them on the field. Now it's what we do with that. It's how hard they work, how hard they prepare, how diligent we are with our time with those guys, and that's a focus, because this is college football. You got to have depth up front, right? And so always continuing to build that is a huge priority for us. But we're very excited not only about the freshman D linemen, but really in general that class and what they've done so far in their short time here.
On that note, Thibodeau is obviously pretty physically developed for an 18-year-old, but where do you think he can kind of grow into there? And is he going to be undersized this season for what he needs to be at playing at 18 years old, or where do you think that can?
Yeah, that's the tough part for the freshmen, and even they're very impressive looking. They're very talented, but at the same time, this is college football. And especially in the trenches, you got offensive linemen, tight ends that, 3 years into a college program, they're pretty well developed. So you do have to keep that in mind with the young guys and, how many reps they get so they don't get worn out in their young careers.
You guys had studs at Boise State defensively, but is it just different here at Oregon, especially with guys like Kayvon that come in? Maybe at Boise they needed a couple years to mature into themselves physically. You got guys that, for the most part, some of them are physically ready at this point. Is that at all different just in terms of dealing with freshmen here compared to there?
I think we got definitely. We're very fortunate here to have guys that are physically pretty close to being ready to play. Now it's between the ears what they do with that physical ability, right? And making sure that they're getting put in the right positions where they can succeed. Because here's the biggest thing through all this, right? If a freshman plays, we want them to have a positive experience to start. We want their careers to start to do this. We don't want a freshman to go in there and trend this way, right? So a lot of things go into that. It's the maturity off the field. There's a lot more responsibility. They're not living at home with mom and dad anymore or whoever, right? There's not a bell that rings that tells them to go from one class to the next now. There's a whole lot outside of this thing that goes into this deal too that plays besides what's going on the field.
With that, how much does school not starting until October 1st help you get them at least comfortable here before you throw everything at them?
Let me answer that in a month and a half or in 2 months, because it's my first go around with that one. I'm kind of excited about that, to be honest.